Now, to this most unfortunate shooting in Minneapolis. In a minute here, I'm going to have Taylor Marshall come in and talk about his new book, which gets to what has to happen politically and spiritually in this country, or this kind of thing is just going to continue.
This was just an act of hatred against goodness and against innocence. You come to a holy place attacking the most innocent among us.
Using 3 legally purchased guns, the shooter fired through stained glass windows, now boarded over, killing a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old and wounding children and adults alike. On Thursday, prosecutors said the attacker deliberately targeted children.
I have a little bit different take on this. Minneapolis has been burning for a long time. You'll remember the BLM riots and everything that went on with the George Floyd, which this was a flashpoint for international revolution. And before that happened, the Mayor Frey, who's still the mayor here in Minneapolis, he actually established something called Abortion Providers Appreciation Day in the city. Right? So this has been a long time coming. Our city, to me, seems like sort of a microcosmic or an example of what happens when the social kingship of Jesus Christ is not only denied, but it is actually officially rejected. You end up with chaos. Crime is skyrocketed. So what happened 2 days ago now was in no sense a surprise to us. The little bit of a difference with this tragic event is that this young man was a Catholic and came from a Catholic family that had been, at least not too long ago, a fairly conservative family. So this could happen to anyone, really. His family was more on the conservative trajectory. There were some marital problems, like there was a divorce or something in the family. And then all hell broke loose. And we end up with a confused and messed up young man who's dabbling in what can only be described as diabolical titillation, or there's a diabolical confusion, right? So if you're looking for me to condemn this kid, as the problem, you're not going to find that today. He's not the problem. He's the consequence. He's the casualty, this little boy that couldn't decide if he was a boy or a girl, and nobody stopped. Nobody stopped to help him. You look at what this guy was doing during the run-up to this shooting, it was one constant scream for help, and nobody helped him. Nobody helped this guy. The church wasn't there, the state wasn't there, the social workers weren't there, right? And so now you have an unguided missile, if you will. You've got a maniac on the loose whose soul has been just destroyed and his heart has been kicked out of him. Nobody cares, and they call it compassion, Doesn't even know which bathroom to use, doesn't even know if he's a woman or a man, or a boy or a girl, right? Nobody cared. That's the problem. That's the problem. And so I would say, Mayor Frey, the guy who I really cannot stand, the Minneapolis mayor, he came out and said, don't beat up on the trans community. Well, so he's just going to continue to promote that sort of diabolical confusion for kids. That's what their agenda is, to continue to promote this in children rather than to help them, to sort of aid and abet them, to accompany them into hell, which is what's happening. But even that, even the liberal, leftist, socialist, Minneapolis social uplift people who have gone completely insane. You can see the lieutenant governor here on the screen right now, a big advocate of trans kids. Why she's wearing a t-shirt with a knife, I have no idea. But we've crossed over into a different realm now. This is sheer demonic insanity. Not only are the inmates running the asylum, but the inmates are satanic, they're evil, right? Why is that? Is it their fault? Is it the lieutenant governor of Minnesota? Is it her fault? Is it the mayor of Minneapolis? Is it his fault? No, it's not their fault. And it's so easy to blame the Democrats, right? To blame the liberals, to blame the wokesters. The problem is they're just filling a vacuum, friends. That's all they're doing. They're doing all they know how to do. The problem is, who created the vacuum? The vacuum was created by the Catholic Church in her human element. This happened at a Catholic school, right? This was a Catholic student. This was one of theirs who went off the rails, right? Shot through stained glass at kids going to Mass, right? Attacking the church, attacking Christ, attacking innocence, right? So broken and destroyed. What happened? How did we end up with casualties like this? And it's going to continue. It's already continuing here. We were on lockdown again in Minneapolis just yesterday. Another shooting. It's going to continue, right? Until the Catholic Church wakes up, until the bishops and the Pope wake up. to what's going on here. So no, I'm not here to bash the trans community. I'm not here to bash the radical leftist, ultra-leftist Minneapolis mayor or the governor of Minnesota. The problem is this chaos that's been unleashed on formerly Catholic towns like St. Paul, Minnesota, in Minneapolis, this has been unleashed because of the Catholic Church's abandoning of her mission. So if you want to be constructive, if you want to have a conversation about what we should be doing, we should be demanding that our bishops and our shepherds, including the Pope, stop with the climate change nonsense. Stop trying to stop people who are trying to strengthen up the borders of this country. Stop trying to get involved in politics and recycling and all of this stuff. Anything, saying absolutely anything other than what they're supposed to say. The Catholic bishops, the Pope included. The four last things, death, judgment, heaven, and hell. Whatever happened to any of that? You see the problem? You can't blame the cause. You can't blame the effects, the casualties, the consequences of this. What's the cause? What's the root cause? And this is where I get very frustrated as a traditional Catholic, when everything that we're standing for and everything we're fighting for can be dismissed as liturgical preferences and Latin snobbery. It's not what it is, friends. We are fighting for the soul of humanity by fighting for the Catholic Restoration. We just came back from Africa, where we see the Catholic Church, the traditional Catholic Church, becoming strong again. Africa becoming strong again, fighting against the world, the flesh, and the devil. That's what traditional Catholicism has always been all about. It must be about that. That's what it's all about, the Christ or chaos, right? You either have Christ or chaos. What we have now is chaos. We're living in chaos. Half of us are running around armed now because it's so chaotic. That's not going to help. All the police, all the guns in the world, there's not enough. If we can't go back to policing ourselves as a society and a civilization, you can expect nothing more than dead kids. That's where it's going to continue to go. Your excellencies, your eminences, your holiness. Synodality is not going to fix this. Climate change, nonsense, babbling on and on is not going to fix this. These children, these lost sheep, these lost souls, they need shepherds. They need Jesus Christ. They need the church. They need Holy Mother Church to assume her role once again. So do not blame the left or the Democrats for what's going on here. The problem here is a Catholic hierarchy which has abandoned its post. It's no longer a hierarchy, it's hirelings, with few and notable exceptions, of course. So yeah, my heart breaks for what's going on here. I didn't know this family directly, the family of the shooter, but I know I have friends and family who did know them and who are weeping today over what happened, what became of this kid that nobody cared about, right? To the point where he becomes a monster, a soulless, godless, Catholic-free monster. You see? So I would say let's use this poor and unfortunate incident, first of all, to pray for the victims, pray for the families, pray for the kid who's now dead, the poor messed up kid who now faces the fires of hell because he immersed himself in demonism in the wake where the Catholic Church used to be. He's not supposed to be here. He wasn't supposed to be here. This is where he ended up because we abandoned him, right? So I would say let's use this as an example of what truly, let's to keep our focus, what the point and purpose of the Catholic Restoration is all about. Yes, it's about the salvation of our souls and the souls of our children. Also, friends, if we don't wake up to this, it's also about self-defense. It's also about the lives of our kids, of our society, of our culture. People are dying now, right? So the revolution, the spirit of Vatican II, is a threat to your soul, and it is a threat to your body, and it is a threat to the lives and future of your children. When do we wake up? When do we wake up? That's what the Catholic Restoration movement is all about, okay? So we're going to continue, obviously, to fight for this holy cause because it is the only answer. It's the only answer. It's out of control now. Things are out of control now. And we need the bishops and the Pope, yes, the Pope, to wake up to what their job actually is. And we need to pray for them to wake up.